conversation, but, okay, so it's 5:30, so I'll call the meeting to order. There is 7 out of 7 members present, so we do have a quorum with no absences. The only addition that we have this evening to our lengthy agenda, which Tom is printing off right now, is he's asked us to review some changes to policy KI, visitors at the school. It's not on your agenda, and he'll be printing that off. So with that, did everyone have a chance to look at the minutes from the last meeting? We have a motion to accept.
So moved.
Second.
And we a second. Anyone have any comments? Hearing none, all in favor? All opposed? 7-0.
Guess I better shut this thing.
Audience with the public, is there anyone in the public that would like to speak? No?
I think it's Melvin's phone. Somebody wants to say.
Except for Melvin's cell phone. We'll note that Melvin said
Wanted to speak.
his phone wanted to speak. Okay, so we're going to start off with the action items. First one is policy AD, educational philosophy and mission.
This is just a standard review of the policy. It came up in the sequence, so it's the same as the MSMA sample.
Yes.
I got a couple questions.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one isn't a question, it's because I'm just like a,
Vocabulary.
and the, you know.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So in the little section with the bullet points, all the first describing words end with ing, except for the first one, and so I'm just thinking why not change it to ensuring
Sure.
to match everything else. And as I read through it, you know, there's a lot of really, you know, lofty verbiage in it. You know, that the teaching and the whole thing is going to be thorough and efficient, that the kids are to acquire necessary skills, achieve at levels commensurate with their abilities, the goal of creating and maintaining standards, and all the children will master the basic skills, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But what happens when that doesn't happen? I mean, it just assumes that every child is going to just like, you know, and I just, it's very lofty and a great statement, but what happens if they don't reach that point? And is that part of the policy? Would that be part of this policy or something else?
I think that that's a part of the foundational issues with education in America. It's like what do you do when students don't do well, and that's, we have entire intervention programs, Title I monies, special education. Those are all things that all of those policies cover those things.
Okay.
I think that
In fact, I might have laptop as well. Actually, I'll grab one now. Okay,
this is a foundational basic commitment that we're going to try to provide educational opportunities to every student. I think if you try to incorporate, I'm not disagreeing with you, Naomi, at all, like what do you do about it?
Yeah.
That's really what the job of administration is to work with the staff and the students and the families to figure out what to do when that doesn't happen. And one part of it is staff accountability, one part of it is intervention programs, and one part of it is parental engagement accountability. Because we often talk about what teachers aren't doing right, but we don't often talk about the fact that our job is to provide an opportunity for a quality education for kids, and the family has to value it and put a priority on it too. So I think it's a great question.
Do we have a policy that talks about, that answers the what if anywhere?
Well, we have all kinds of procedures, policies, and documents that talk about, I mean, you could start with the teachers' collective bargaining agreement, the evaluation process,
Okay.
I mean, almost all the documents really kind of lead to really three pieces of a Venn diagram, right? One part is what is the teaching and learning, the curriculum and the expectations? What part is the evaluation system for teachers and staff in the district? And then what is the intervention program? And when all three overlap, it should have students doing well in school. I mean, I'm punting here, I wasn't really, it's a great question, it's a really big, heated educational philosophy question.
Yeah,
Rachel?
My sort of 2 cents is, it's our philosophy and our mission. So for me, I think this is like exactly where we paint the rosy picture, and allow sort of the other policies, sort of like Tom was mentioning, like contracting with teachers and the bullying policy and I feel like the what ifs are sort of outlined in some of our other policies, and my interpretation of the purpose of a philosophy and a mission is to sort of describe best case scenario. Like, this is what we hope for. And then in the other sections of the policies that we would review, I would think that's where that would come up, so.
I was gonna say the same thing, the mission statement is where you put your aspirations.
Exactly, it's the plaque that, everyone sees when they first walk in. Was there a motion or anything that you wanted to make?
no, I had a question.
Well, that in, where you were talking about changing everything to ensuring,
Oh, yes,
That was just the first one, so I made the edit, so if you motion, could you motion with the edit? Just so that it's just an edit, but we should
Yeah.
just say with changes as proposed.
sure. So I make a motion that we accept policy AD with one minor change.
Mark has reviewed, it doesn't have to go to the board.
I don't think it does have to go to the
No.
board for an ING.
no, for an IG, no. Anyone second? Tim second? All in favor? Opposed? 7-0. All right, so the next item is action item B, policy ADA, school district goals and objectives. Anything on that one, Tom?
A
Same thing?
boilerplate standard.
Yeah, it was just, it's the same thing, there was no changes on it, so,
These are all derived from the statutes.
right. So,
So I'll ask another question. I think goals and objectives are different than, what was that,
the mission statement,
philosophies and missions. So the last paragraph says the board will regularly evaluate progress toward meeting the goals. I'm just wondering if maybe there should be something more specific than that?
or is that what the curriculum committee does, would that fall into like their purview, when it talks about the board?
I don't think so,
I don't
there's
think
no
so.
tools involved in that. I think that this is something that we talked about when we were talking about the, like board responsibilities, right? And that we were supposed to be reviewing data and hearing about progress and things like that. And it's, I've only been on the board for a year and a half, but that hasn't happened, so.
Right.
Would agree. But I do think that we did develop some goals during that process, right? So,
Like the small group discussions that we've been doing as part of the action toward meeting those goals, and there'll be more of that coming, for sure. I would caution you to be too specific, because the goal might change the regularity. I would caution you to just be careful about changing it here, but I would be, Rachel brought it up when we set the goals, I thought she said a great thing, like, what are the action steps and how are we gonna evaluate them?
Right.
And that is a part of the secondary step of goal setting. So we set the goals this fall, or it felt like a day ago, but it's been 4 months. And we have been, and I think that it is important to have, and Danny and I can talk about having an agenda item where we have a goals update for the board, like where are we with the goals? And I think we should do it regularly, but how, I don't know if I would say like quarterly or tertiary or whatever, just because you might have a goal that you wanna have an update on even more regularly. So I just be careful is all I'm saying, like, but I do think it's important to stay aware of them, right, and talk about them.
Yes.
That was sort of gonna be my point, is I would say, like, maybe put something in, the board will regularly evaluate progress toward meeting the goals at a minimum of biannually. I mean, the tricky part about the policy is once it's in there, we have to do it.
And that's what I'm saying.
And I do
Right.
think that, you know, there is something that it should be a little bit more than like, yeah, sure, we'll do that at some point, sometime, but, you know, a little bit more accountability. Just, I think, yeah, at least twice a year, quarterly. I don't have a strong feeling about how often, but I do think we should be a little bit more specific.
What was the process when we made those goals? What would you call that? Like, was that during the board self-evaluation?
Danny, can you help with that? Did we set the goals during the board self-evaluation? I'm sorry, I just
I'd have
can't.
to
Yeah.
look back.
Yeah,
It's
that was
my
like the
first time.
mid-June, I think, was that meeting.
Was
So
it-
I'd have to look
those
back.
those were goals for the board, right?
Right.
Do we have goals for the district that we're reviewing?
Well, the buildings have goals that they're working on.
But this policy would say that we have the responsibility to set goals, right?
For the board.
Not to set goals, but to evaluate.
Well,
I
it
mean, it
says
says.
Regularly
we have
evaluate
the-
progress.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not setting goals, that's evaluating them.
The board will develop annual goals based
Right.
on input solicited from a
Okay.
variety of sources.
And in the first paragraph, it's our responsibility to set goals for the efficient operation of RSU 40. So that would say to me that it's more than just goals for the board.
No, it's goals for the board. Let's,
Yeah.
I don't wanna, we're going down a rabbit hole. I wanna make sure we
Okay.
stay focused. So something that you would be in control of is moving forward the high school bond.
Right,
Improving communication as a board as we
Sure.
have been. Those are board goals, right? So I just wanna make sure that this policy addresses the school board's goals.
Right.
Right, I address the building goals and the management of the buildings, you can set goals with me.
Right.
But I just don't wanna muddy the water about the roles, I just wanna make sure that
Right.
we stay in
Yeah.
the process.
and I understand that,
Yeah, okay, I just wanted to be clear for the public.
yeah.
Do you have anything, Ben?
I wasn't done.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
That's okay. So I was just gonna say that the board will regularly evaluate progress toward meeting the goals. During the board self-evaluation, maybe that would be a good way to insert like a time frame and a process that we do it without really adding a whole lot of like, this is going to be reassessed 4 times a year by the state. That might just make it a little less vague, but also leave room for us to have it sort of structured.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Is that something you wanted to make a motion to add, or?
I mean, I'd rather just
This
hear, see if that's what people are looking for in terms of structuring that goal.
Ben?
I think we should give ourselves the maximum flexibility here, even though this is more specific than our mission statement. It still is really just giving us a broad outline of what we're supposed to do. Basically, you know, we know that we have a job to do and we're going to do our job, and we're going to make sure that we're keeping an eye on ourselves to make sure we do our job. And as long as we're doing that, I think we're in good shape. I don't think we need to use this policy as a venue for nailing down the details of how, because, you know, it seems like for a lot of these policies, they're kind of the high level gloss of what we do in any given situation, or what we want the district to be doing in any given situation. And then we implement them with procedures, or we implement them with decisions that are made at the administrative level. So here, we have a policy that says, you know, here's our job, we're gonna do it, we're gonna check on ourselves, and then we implement it at a lower level with our board self-evaluation process, with our, you know, our new goal setting that we've started doing this year. So I don't think we need to kick that lower level implementation up into this policy. I think this does what it needs to do.
Yeah, To Tom's point, the analogy I like to use is our goals are kind of like a destination, and what we do as a board is we give Tom a map and say, we need you to go to this destination. Now, how he gets there, that's Tom's job. And then us as a board, we just make sure that they made it to that destination, so that's, basically, how they decide to get there. It may not be the most direct route, but as long as they get there, and we made sure that they got there, then we did our job.
Well, sometimes you take a little detour down the seed building trail.
Yes.
And it's important, right, the flexibility is important, but
Right.
I also don't think that, we talked about, and I haven't done as much of this as I probably could, giving an update regularly in my superintendent's report about the goals. I can do that, right? That's not a problem. It's not, I think the question is just, are we keeping an eye on the ball?
Yeah.
Right? And that, I'll take responsibility for that. I'm happy to do that. But I just always caution people that less is always more with policies, because they bind you. Like, right, once you're bound, you're bound.
Right.
If we're not keeping track of our goals and doing it, I would agree with Ben, let's talk about making sure we're keeping track of our goals and doing it, right? Because we should, right? It's just transparency for the public too, that we set a goal and we're working toward it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I agree with Ben. I think you've got a lot of the stuff out that I was gonna say. And also with the superintendent's report, I thought that would be was also thinking that would be just a handy time to make a statement. You wind up making it 20 times a year, you're keeping the goals moving.
Yep.
You're keeping the progress going anyway, so I like it the way it is.
Anyone want to make a motion?
I move that we market review.
Second.
Like a second? Okay, Ben and Randy. All right, all those in favor? Opposed? That's 7-0. Okay, the next policy is policy BEA, school board member use of email and other electronic communication.
Again, just part of the review process. Not much.
Yeah, there was some edits on that version, but
Yep.
there was all stuff that needed to get done.
I find it so much easier to look at this with the new system that I can just see what the changes would be. And so I hope that's helpful to all of you. I just wanted to mention that Kayla Teseo has been doing that, and she's done a fantastic job. She does them quickly and efficiently and very well. So thank you to her for helping me out. And to Karen and Danielle for giving up some of her time to help me do it. Thank you, Karen and Danielle.
Anyone have anything? Or anyone want to make a motion?
Yeah, I think, in paragraph C,
Yep.
the optional shall, that we should use shall in place of should.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, because this is something that will have to go to the board, so we could make that change and
Yes.
submit it.
That should be used.
Want to make a motion?
Yes. I make a motion that we adopt the word shall in place of should in paragraph C.
And submit this to the board for first reading? Yep. And Randy will second.
Randy?
Yep. Anyone else have anything to say?
Ben, may I speak? Ben, you were chair before and Noah before that, but I was thinking that this committee had worked really hard on making all shells will in the past, and it looks like we're reverting back to shell on a lot of them from will. And it feels like over the last couple of years, they've worked really hard to make them will. So it removed all that ambiguity of shell.
Yeah, there were a couple language things that we were focused on addressing.
Yeah.
Got to keep the lawyers busy.
Yes.
Keep the lawyers busy.
Will and shall have,
Shall.
I mean, it's that you do it, period, it's
Right.
not
Should-
a recommendation.
Yeah, it's a lot better than should, where should is kind of
Should and
wishy-washy.
shall get weird.
May, must.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that.
That's funny that our
Because it-
samples
Cause in
Coming to us
C,
with
where,
shall.
before C was crossed out, it said board members will.
Right,
Yeah.
It didn't say should or shall.
yeah.
Just wanted to mention.
So
Do you want to make an amendment?
Yes, I would like to amend that, if we change that to will,
Okay.
the board members will avoid.
Are you gonna continue your second, or? Sure. All right. Any other discussion?
Well,
No.
I guess we should, you might as well extend that to the couple of other shalls that we've got.
Hang on, let me get there.
First paragraph's got one. Second paragraph's got one.
Oh, so, and where it says board members should, that,
All
Should-
shalls become will.
So maybe we need to make
So
a
should
policy
will be
that says
will?
we only
Yeah.
use the word will.
yeah, all the
Is
should.
there,
Shouldn't shall.
is there a reason not to keep our policy? Are there distinct changes here that, because if our previous policy was written in a language that we're intending to use, then is there a reason to update?
That's a great point. If you read what's blacked out, thank you, Leah. I haven't really, I think B might be different. It looks like it was a lot longer, but I have to really compare.
Well, there's still an active motion, so we could vote that one down, and then we could just, if you want to just mark it as reviewed, we could do that, so. But we have to go in order, so we'll have to make a vote on Tim's motion first.
Or you could withdraw, right?
Or he can withdraw, yeah,
I'll withdraw my motion.
okay. Did you want to make a motion, Leah?
I would make a motion that we mark the policy reviewed.
We have a second?
Second.
All right.
Could everyone just take a look at B, just to make sure that you're okay with it? I'm fine with whatever you do, you know? It's your policy. I just want to make sure that you really feel comfortable with that. So if you notice, the second half of B was removed.
Yeah, I think that language that removed is basically informational.
Yeah,
Yeah.
more detail.
So I guess I just have a procedural question. If we are adopting completely different or completely new language, how can we mark this reviewed?
We won't,
We're-
it'll go
we're
back
not.
to what
She
was
said-
blocked out.
Yeah.
So it'll go back to what was struck
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking, Naomi, that's a great question.
Yeah.
So the blue language will go away and it will go back to what it was before.
Correct. And it'll just simply be marked as reviewed. Anyone else? All right, so the motion is to mark this policy as reviewed. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? 7-0. I'm looking at my watch, because if I have to, I'll jump to that last policy.
I think we're fine.
The last couple policies. Okay, the next action item is action item D, policy BEDH, public participation at board meetings.
Thank you. So the revision is what was discussed or requested of me to bring forward for you to consider based on the feedback that we received at the board meeting and from my communication with Drummond Woodsum about kind of the balance of public comment versus people that have no vested interest in the community of the district. And so this is truly up to you, right? And I'm happy to answer questions. There's not really a right or wrong, it's a values decision.
Yeah. Oh, yes,
Under the new part, because I can see somebody picking this out, where it says taxpayer,
mm-hmm,
Of RSU 40.
yes.
Ah,
Add the
great
part
point.
of RSU 40, because I can see somebody coming in from outside the district, well, I'm a taxpayer.
Mhm.
right.
somebody like that lives in Saco.
Right, so,
Yeah, those people in Saco.
so we put like the 6-month and 1-day resident, so you can't be you can't be a snowbird. Do you have something, Ben?
Yeah, I have an issue with a couple of issues with restricting comment to residents, students, employees, and so on of the district for a few different reasons. One of them, I think, is just practicability. I mean, it's gonna be putting it on Danny to make a snap judgment as to, not necessarily whether someone is who they say they are when they sign up on the sign-in sheet, but because there are people who, under this criteria, would be legitimately permitted to speak, but may not be easily identifiable as such simply by putting their name and town of residence on the form. There's gonna be a bit of a high burden to make sure that people who should be included are included, and people who should be excluded are excluded. So there's a practical issue there. There's a bit of a legal issue in that, I heard some of our presenters at the fall conference on this topic, and apparently there is not a lot of case law supporting that kind of a restriction. The reading I did, I only found one ruling in favor of a residents only at public comment sessions, and it was an 11th Circuit ruling, so it's a precedent that we aren't bound by necessarily. So there would be, there's always a chance you get sued. We live in the United States after all, but we would have to be prepared to, basically potentially be willing to defend this if someone felt that their First Amendment rights were infringed upon by being disallowed to speak at a public meeting as a non-resident, non-student, non-employee of the district. And there wouldn't be it would have to be adjudicated. We couldn't ask them to simply dismiss it because, there's already been a First Circuit ruling that says, no way. And where was I going with this? Oh, versus the lower standard of asking residents, students, taxpayers in the district, and so on, to be given priority at meetings. I think that is legally defensible in a much more obvious and well-established way. So I think that's a concern that we should take into account when we consider restricting it to this level. And my third is, I don't want to say idealistic, but it's really more kind of in the spirit of public comment in general, is that you never know who's going to say something that turns out to be valuable. Someone's going to have an insight, either an experience or a point of fact or a point of law or something that might be pivotal enough to change a board member's mind as we deliberate on an issue. Doesn't matter what the issue is. So it seems like we would potentially be not only selling our public short, but selling ourselves short by inadvertently cutting off people who might have something that would actually be worth hearing. And I feel that that's in line with the way that we handle free speech in the First Amendment generally, which is that it's better to allow crud in the name of making sure that the good stuff gets through than to be very restrictive in your outlook on speech and basically risk censoring or otherwise losing something valuable. So there's kind of my read anyway, so there's kind of a innocent until proven guilty standard when it comes to interpreting public speech and people's First Amendment rights. So we may be inadvertently doing ourselves a disservice by restricting people unnecessarily.
Rachel?
I was just gonna add, maybe we could make something about the priority,
Right.
and if time allows, blah, blah,
Right,
blah.
and I agree with
I
that.
don't know the verbiage, but something about that.
And that's, I think, what the real intent is, because we're really talking about those 10 people, if we have 10 people, because most of the time we get 0 people that want to talk about public participation. So if we're talking about 30 minutes, 3 minutes apiece, we're talking about those 10 people. So I agree, there should be priority given to the people that have the vested interest. And then if we do go over that 30 minutes, then that would be a call for Danny, 1, to ask for more time, and then B, if he wants to allow anyone, to speak after that point. So I think that's really the intent, or it's just to make sure that people that have the vested interest have a priority, which, again, most of the time, we're gonna not even come close to that 10-person threshold, so. So did you want to, like, make a change?
Yeah, if we're at that point, then I would suggest that we change that proposed addition to residents of RSU 40, parents or guardians of student in RSU 40 schools, students of RSU 40, or employees of RSU 40 will be given priority at public comment period.
Right, or just like, if we just say priority will be given to, at the
Yeah.
beginning of, then individuals, and then, yeah.
Ben, did you delete taxpayer? I didn't hear you say it, that's all.
I didn't say it, yeah, so I guess we wouldn't wanna,
Right.
Okay. so
wouldn't wanna include that because of the
taxpayer out.
ambiguity.
We're removing taxpayer, I'm sorry.
Well, no, no one's made a motion yet. We were just kind of kicking around the idea, and I was gonna give Ben a chance to spearhead it if he wanted to on the motion.
Is there anyone who would be paying taxes in a town of this district who wouldn't be a parent, student, employee, or resident?
Senior
Yes.
citizen?
course.
You'd have this, you do have snowbirds.
But they would,
The
they
residents,
would be a
sorry, yeah.
resident.
I mean, you have you have people that are paying property taxes, but they're not living in the district.
But if you
Like
haven't had,
Business owner.
If
They
you buy
could-
a rental property but you don't live in
Yeah.
town.
Well, you have people, there's a landowner next to my farm that just has a land, there's no house, there's nothing, I don't.
There's lots of family
mows it.
properties where people
Right.
haven't lived here for generations.
Right.
Can I just offer a little bit of insight about my experience with this?
Mhm.
Because I think Ben makes some really valid points. That what, the goal is never to restrict freedom of speech. The goal is to have a reasonably, I've seen situations and been involved in situations where people have shown up from all over with an agenda and would have taken up 4 or 5 hours of a board's time that had no vested interest in the community, for public comment. And when the policy reads as this is written, it's stop that. But it didn't shut down the people that had a vested interest in the community. But the argument that Ben makes is the reverse argument, right? It's not a, as I said when I brought this up, it's not, a lot of this, some things are right or wrong in the sense that you just be outright breaking a law, right? And even our attorney, when I spoke to her, said exactly what Ben said about the 11th Circuit Court and the fact that Ben's research is 100% accurate to my knowledge.
Yep.
That this hasn't been tested at a super high level. And because of the volatility of some school board meetings in the state and nation recently, this has been adopted more often to prevent that from happening. So it's a balance, Ben, and I just want you to know I acknowledge your point and the research, and I'm not taking a position on this, I'm just telling you that I've experienced some really difficult situations get diffused, but that does also possibly prevent someone who might have a really great idea from not speaking. It's tough, it's a tough decision.
Yeah.
None of the latest round of wackadoos seem to have found our way to our district yet, so, people are doing
Yeah.
strip shows up in Augusta, but not down on the coast just yet. And I know that, some of the advice we're given is that it's, if you take a measure to change your public comment in a time when the thing that you're trying to prevent is happening, it obviously is not very good for you. But again, we're talking values here, my value is to err on the side of speech. And if someone is doing something so disruptive that you wouldn't want them to be doing it at all, we can already make them stop. If someone starts taking their pants off to make a point in a board meeting, that is going,
Looking at you, Melvin.
there's a level of disruption which is already prohibitable, and
Melvin, you gotta give it
the
back to her.
presiding officer.
You gotta give it back to her, don't take that from her.
I don't think
She knows how crippled I am. How am I gonna take him? She's gonna have to help me.
Like, there's a separate policy for that.
That might fall under the other policies that Naomi was talking about earlier.
What happens if?
What happens if?
Anyone wanna make a motion?
I will if no one has any other thoughts they want to add at this point. I move that we advance policy BEDH to the board for a first read with the added language in section 2 that priority at public comment period will be given to residents of RSU 40, taxpayers in RSU 40, a parent guardian of a student in RSU 40 schools, a student of RSU 40, or an employee of RSU 40.
Are you taking out the exceptions? Did this rule be made by the board?
I think so, because we're just prioritizing people as I'm framing it.
Okay.
It sort of leaves it to his interpretation anyway.
We have a second.
Second.
Okay. Any other comments?
Just a
All those-
minor edit.
Yep.
The number system needs to.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, there's two, yeah, yeah.
Ben, can
That's-
you just send that to me? I
Sure.
think I got it, but
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
to make sure, and I can
Yeah.
watch the video if I need to.
Yeah, the number system is off on that.
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah, but
It's all
yeah,
fixed.
we know about that.
I fixed it already.
All approved?
Wait,
Oh,
so I know that people haven't already commented, but I wanted to use the comment period after a second to add a comment,
okay.
which is if anyone has any concerns about the taxpayer in RSU 40 language, if that's not precise enough, then I would be willing to alter my motion to put something more concrete in there.
Sums it up pretty well. Thanks, sir.
I don't want to open us up to anything that we don't really need to be opened up to.
Right. Any other comments? All those in favor? Opposed and abstentions, 7-0.
Who seconded that?
Thank
Yeah.
you, Karen.
Who seconded that?
Naomi,
Thank you.
Yeah,
seconded.
Ben, can I just ask real quick, well, I've got, just it'll take a minute. I put priority of public comment will be given to residents of, and then it goes on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
and then instead of
Taxpayers in.
taxpayers, saying taxpayers in.
Yep, I did fix that already. You can see it in the Google Doc live, but if it's not right, just shoot me an email and I'll
Yeah,
fix it.
yeah, I'll check it when I get
Okay.
home.
okay. Think we're still good on time?
Yep.
Okay. Next action item is E, which is policy EBCF, automated external defibrillators, AEDs. Which, do you have any?
No, I don't have any I'm sorry, I don't have any comment on that.
Yes. Anyway.
In the first paragraph, last line, the apostrophe after a capital AED should not be there, because the AEDs don't own anything.
Which one is it? I'm sorry, I'm looking.
Boy,
for
that
it.
must have been wrong from the last.
The
How you
last-
missed
Yeah,
that
that's old.
last
It's-
time,
yeah.
I
I
know.
don't think I've
First
seen
paragraph,
this one
well,
before.
I got it, I took it out.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Just a,
Oh, you weren't
a
here,
question.
Jenny, too.
can't help
So,
myself.
there's obviously more of a commitment from us in this policy. Is this the result of a legislative change or?
I'm gonna defer to Danielle because she worked with the nurses on this policy.
This was, what the nurses, this was the nurses' input of what they were actually seeing or using or doing. I'm not sure, I don't, to be honest with you, I can answer your question, but I don't know if it's changed.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Leah.
In the second, third paragraph, the superintendent shall, we could change that to will.
Thank you. Guys are giving me a lot to do tonight.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you give us.
I guess I'll spend tomorrow checking AEDs. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. The nurses will handle most of this, but I'll,
Yeah.
it's delegated to the nursing staff.
I'm just kind of curious about, Danielle, if you know anything about this, is it says they'll offer training to students. And like, to me, that being mentioned first seems like that's the priority, that students be trained in using one of those?
Not that I'm aware of, but it could, it could possibly be possible in high school, maybe, but I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, it's just curious.
Do you think that's a typo? That's kind of strange. Do we offer training to students on performing?
I was just wondering.
Walking around.
Well, it's not padded, it's just sticky.
An AED does not work unless it.
Right, there has to be a
A
circuit.
shockable,
Right.
you know, it has to be that way, you just can't go and shock somebody with it, it does not do that.
That, yeah. Yes, Rachel?
Nowhere in here it says staff, so I'm assuming
That's a typo.
it either means staff and students or students.
Well,
I mean,
further
staff.
down in that paragraph, it says may require training for those school unit personnel who have been identified by the superintendent, so you get to decide, Tom.
I would recommend tabling this, I'd like to do a little more homework.
Yeah.
We aren't gonna
Come back
change
to
all
my
of our,
email,
we aren't
too.
going to train all of our students,
No.
but it's okay, we can do it at the December meeting, we've got plenty to do tonight. And I think it's worth, just, I wanna dig into this a little bit more.
Some of the language changes seem to, they add, but they also completely change the meaning of the
Yeah.
paragraphs they're attached to.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's kind of, it is. Danielle, you okay with going back to the nurses and kind of clarifying this?
Absolutely, yeah,
Okay,
and I'm
yep,
looking back
okay.
at my email.
Yep, we'll bring it back to you, in December.
Right now, our CPR training is actually done by an outside
AED
Good to know.
School club.
police officer.
All right, so we'll table that to next month. Next action item is policy FAA memorials.
do we need a vote to
FFA,
table?
right?
We need a vote, you know?
I don't know, Danny, do we need a vote to table?
I would.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to vote to table.
Can I make a motion?
I move that we table this to our December, just table, sorry, it's been a long
Yeah.
week. Table this policy to our December meeting.
Thank you.
Okay. Do I have a second? Tim, okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
That was Ben and, sorry,
Tim, Ben and Tim.
Let's see,
apparently my ears aren't working
Do we
tonight.
have a physician?
yes, you do.
Rachel's like,
It's not
yes, you
me.
do,
No,
but it's
it's not
not
me.
Rachel.
Any other comments? All in favor of tabling? 7-0. Okay.
Thank you.
So now we'll go to policy FFA memorials.
So I'd like you to tell me, I recommend option one in blue, but I'd like to know what you all think. I want to make sure that everyone understands that philosophically, I absolutely understand why, if a student passes away or a teacher, why you'd want a memorial. And what happens is, over a 15 or 20-year period, you can end up with 10 or 15 memorials and the school starts to become a place of grief, not a place of learning. Places of grief are supposed to be cemeteries, chapels, churches. But I do think that if somebody wants to do something in memory of someone, the best thing you can do is do a scholarship or something positive for the student community to foster learning. I had a situation where a number of people passed away in a short period of time, and literally a parent wanted to buy what looked like a tombstone to put in front of the school. And if you say yes to one, you have to be very careful about not saying yes to everyone. And so I strongly urge you to consider option one on this. However, it's a local decision. It's not my decision, it's a community decision.
Rachel?
I think if someone has left a legacy that people feel strongly enough to donate money and develop a scholarship fund, I think they should be able to do it in honor of that individual.
Oh yes,
It may be, what if it's an athlete or something, like, it also sort of, instead of just lumping it in the general scholarship, that feels like kind of cold to me, I guess.
Oh, geez, I'm sorry.
The general scholarship fund,
yeah, we can,
or the verb, I don't know. But
yeah,
but I also sort of like appreciate,
Yeah.
We can't be putting like the favorite Bon Jovi poster of some former, like whatever, but like this sort of, that kind of concept, but I think it's important to, if somebody wants to establish a monetary scholarship in memory or honor of one specific person, I think we should allow that.
I think that's what the language of option one does. It says general scholarship fund, and I think that general means available to, any student, for whatever, or not for a specific purpose, but specifically memorializing. So, you would say the Sam Smith Memorial Scholarship, which could be used to, support a student doing something. Purpose of scholarship fund, open, naming and like origin of scholarship fund defined in the creation. So, you would have it wouldn't be one fund that just gets a name every time there's a new memorial attached to it necessarily.
See, I interpret that completely different. I say I read it as contributions may be made to a general scholarship fund. So there's a big pot of money, and I say, I'm gonna give $100 in honor of Jimmy John, who passed away. Not, I'm going to start the Jimmy John Memorial Scholarship.
It says that the general scholarship fund is established by the school unit memorializing. I think memorializing refers to the established rather than to the contributions.
And what does number 2 mean then? I'm unclear.
I think that means that you can have a special purpose for the fund. Potentially.
Can I just, I'm sorry, you're right, and I'm sorry if I came off as, I agree with you
No,
that,
yeah,
I just wanna say that I
if it-
agree with you completely.
Yeah.
It needs to be warm, and it needs to be, I read it the way Ben read it though, so I read it as a general scholarship is for any student.
Sure.
But if my, I can't even say that.
No, I
If
get
my
what
son's
you're
a
saying.
football player
Yeah.
and he passes away, and I wanna give a scholarship to future football players for us, then that would be a general scholarship. But it might be in my son's name for a football player, right? So some people would do music or art.
Right,
But I understand why you read it the way you did, it shifted my lens when you said that, so I
Right.
think we might wanna tweak the
I
language.
think I still think it
Why don't we just take out the word general?
Yes.
That's where because you say a
Yeah.
scholarship fund,
Contributions may be
established
made.
memorializing. So if it said,
So contributions may be made memorializing a member or members of the school community or in memory or recognition of certain events.
So because
Just
just
take general.
Just take out
memorializing
generalize.
can be anything. This is a
I still think
scholarship.
it's not, to me, I still read that as it goes in a big pot. You can contribute to the big pot
But
in
it
memory
says
of somebody, but it's not.
specifically
If you just took the word general
memorializing
out
a member or members of
and
the
read
school
it.
community.
Again,
Yeah, I did.
that didn't do it for you.
No.
okay,
What about the second to the bottom paragraph in black? Why do we need either of the blue? We already have memorial scholarships.
Right.
And we already do them now. I know because my group tracks scholarships. We have all kinds of scholarships in people's names. PB Moody Scholarship. We have tons of scholarships
Yeah.
in family names that most of you would recognize that I don't because I'm not from here. We have them all the time.
I think that's,
Yeah, P.B. Moody was
Great.
the founder of Moody.
Yeah, I'm sitting,
Let's just-
I'm sitting having
let's
coffee
leave
at
it the
Moody's
way
one
we
day and I
have
went,
it.
oh wait, I know
Let's
that
leave
is now.
I
And then
love that place.
there's a new wording in the end of the policy.
So I'm not sure why we need
Yeah.
either option 1 or 2.
I agree.
Because we already do it, we
Yeah.
already have it.
And I think that the bottom blue part addresses
Will
one of the
cover
things
your-
that I'm most concerned
yes.
about. I'm fine with that proposal. Look, ultimately, it's up to you. They're your schools, it's your community. I just want to caution you that adding items to the grounds of schools can add up very quickly and not have the connection to kids 10 years from now that they do to the kids that are current there.
There are also things that could potentially have to be maintained, and to see those things not maintained is not something that we ever want to experience.
I'll add, from a not necessarily a memorial standpoint, but from the experience of someone who works in a collecting institution, gifts with restrictions, gifts with expectations are ideally avoided whenever possible. Like if you can talk a donor into, assure them that you'll do the right thing by their gift, but please don't put it in writing. It's much better than to have some great grandson, some distant descendant come back years later and say, hey, on this deed of gift, it says, and you're like, how come you haven't done this, that, and the other thing? Or, under these conditions, I should be able to borrow this thing back whenever I want it to. Just whenever possible, try to get gifts with a minimum of donor stipulations, and you can do that while still being grateful for their contribution and honoring you know, whatever needs to be honored at the time. That's just my advice.
So if it's the will of the group, from a management perspective, if you wanna take out the 1 and 2 and just go with the blue at the bottom, I think you're okay. This is a super sensitive thing to talk about, right?
It says blue at the bottom.
Yeah, there's a blue
Page
part at
2.
the bottom
Oh,
of page
Talks
2.
about the use of,
It says the board regards the use of the district property for memorial services as generally inappropriate. It really, it's just important to remember that schools are supposed to be focused on learning. And there are locations in our communities that are focused on grief, and they should be. And I just wanna separate those two things because I want to make sure that the kids come to school and they're focused on learning.
Right.
Can I make a motion?
yes,
I would make a motion to, do we have to send this to the board?
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to,
First
send
read.
policy FFA to the board for first read without including option 1 or option 2, but including the blue section in the last paragraph.
Second.
You know what's cool, Rachel? The draft is already ready. I just mixed it, ready to go.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Do we have any other comments? Yes, Ben?
Do we need to make a distinction in that last blue section between memorial services and objects in memoriam?
Oh.
Or is there another part of this that you feel covers that sufficiently? I know there are sections on items, but, you know, if we want to,
I think it would be great if it said memorial services and,
Wait, this already has that last paragraph,
where?
the second to last in black.
I thought we already
Oh,
did.
yeah, okay.
Oh, yay.
So, yeah.
So let's just mark this bad boy reviewed. Boom!
I think so, but I wanna talk about, do you mind if we talk about Ben's point? 'Cause
Yeah,
it's a
let me
good point.
withdraw my motion.
Thank you,
Okay.
thank you. Ben, that's a great point. Could we have it say memorial services and memorial, what would the term be? Items,
Okay.
memorial fixtures?
that's, I don't know if there's a catch-all.
I don't know, I feel like that items, it says that we're considering any maintenance costs to the district of such items.
Do we want to put ourselves in the position of having to turn down someone who wants to?
So here's the
We
part that,
just put one in at Warren
I was
last
gonna
year,
say,
keep
there's a-
in mind.
Yeah.
so here's
Yeah.
one right here. It
Which
says.
is beautiful, and it's
Yeah,
not, I
I-
don't think it's, yeah.
Items right, it's fine, but if you had 10 of them, because you did it for one student, are you gonna do it for them all? And that's my only question. Right, maybe, if you all say yes, we wanna do them all, because you will have over 40 years, that many people. So it's just important to recognize, like, I literally had a situation where people wanted to erect 5 memorials on school grounds because they built a new school for older students. And it went from planting a tree to literally putting up what looked like a tombstone at the school, and we said no. So
Well, I think-
you have to be careful, because
Yeah,
if you say
okay.
yes to one, are you gonna say it to all of them? And if the answer is yes, I'm good, I'll bring it to you and you approve it. Right, but I think it's important to recognize that right now, the way this reads, it puts the responsibility on you to approve or deny every one of them, and that is really hard to do when someone's standing here grieving over something that's happened. Right, and I just wanna continue to say to people that I recognize that grief is very important. And I care about the kids deeply. And schools are not, they're for learning, they're not for grieving. Schools are not supposed to be places for, now, do you wanna name a gym after a teacher that worked there for 50 years and ran this? Sure. Memorial gym is one thing, or a memorial building, but you just have to be careful that you're not just setting a policy for you, you're setting it for future boards, people that aren't here today. So I'm just asking you to think about it carefully and make an informed decision. And frankly, if this is something that you'd like to think about, we could table it, think about it for a few weeks, and then come back and talk about it again. It's not an emergency, but it does put the policy currently puts it on you to decide whether or not to approve it. I think you're better off when you don't have someone heated and standing here to think about whether or not you want to limit that, and that's all I'm asking you to do, is to consider it. And
Or even if we had something that would improve the ground, so if I wanted to, buy bleachers for for the football field and have them be the whatever
Oh, take it even
memorial
further,
bleachers.
lights. You wanna buy lights for the football.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying, something that could be an improvement, fine, but if you're talking about what you're talking about, then I see your point there too. So.
Right, there's a difference between buying an item.
Right.
Or providing a scholarship to someone in memoriam.
Right,
And putting a fixture that is,
Yeah,
right,
a tombstone.
Don't have a chapel.
Yeah, we
Right.
don't want
some kind of
tombstones.
monument or, yeah.
I would make a motion that we table for now and consider further wording.
I'll second that.
So that is Rachel and Ben. It's been moved and seconded to be tabled. Any other comments? All those in favor? Opposed 7-0.
okay, so Rachel, I returned the document to its original form until the next meeting, and then everyone can just consider, and we'll figure it out, right?
Yeah, no, I think you make a good point.
Okay, next item is policy GCI, professional staff development opportunities.
Thank you. Again, this is just a literal MSMA. This one, don't really have a lot of comments, it's pretty standard.
Make a motion to mark as reviewed.
Second?
Moved and seconded.
Who seconded?
Naomi,
Naomi, thank you.
we have any other comments? All in favor? Opposed 7-0.
If I may, Rick?
Yep.
For the sake of time,
Mm-hmm.
I would recommend moving H, I, and J as a group, and I'll explain why.
Yep.
I was in a situation recently investigating some bullying in the public schools, and I realized that you had the policy but not the forms. And the forms, I've never seen a district that didn't have the forms that go with it, because it ensures that the boxes are checked as you go through the process for staff. And so I wanted to make sure that they get added in as quickly as possible. So I would just ask that you add H, I, and J, which is JICK E1, E2, and E3. They just reflect the process that we're supposed to use as practitioners, and they're industry standard for the bullying process in the state of Maine and New Hampshire. So that's why I was saying we have plenty of time, Rick, because they're really just
Right.
boilerplate, stock procedures. They protect the staff that they don't accidentally skip a step.
And we'd have to approve these for a first read, correct? Because they're
Yes,
not.
they go to the board for first read.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Anyone have a motion? Or any other comments? Any punctuation checks?
Yeah. Oh, no.
No? Anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to send these ones to the
All-
board.
E1, E2, E3.
Yes,
Yeah.
1, 2, and
yes,
3? Do I have a second?
to the board.
Okay, so we got Rachel and Tim. Any other comments? Okay, so the motion is to provide for first read those 3 policy forms. All in favor? 7-0. All right, so that does make life easy. Okay, so we're gonna skip all the way to the next action item, which is K, policy KCD, public gifts / donations to the school.
Thank you. There's some changes that came up, and so certainly if Karen, if you have comments, I think it's kind of up to you all, but it doesn't have the $1,000 or more being, that's not a legal requirement. So if it's $1,000 or more, it doesn't have to be approved by the board. I would say that we could have a practice where it's acknowledged in the superintendent's update that this, I don't wanna not say something about a nice donation, right? So I don't wanna lose the gratitude or the public piece. And we could leave that in there if you want to, it's fine. You're doing more than what you're required to do if you do it. So just something to think about when you're deliberating that.
Yes.
I had a question about why we struck out the sentence, the identity of the donor may be kept anonymous if that's the donor's wish.
I think that just wasn't in the sample policy,
Okay.
so we could keep that.
I
if
would
we
like
want
that
to.
in there, I mean,
Yeah.
let's be respectful
Yeah.
to the person.
Yeah. This is literally just the MSMA sample compared to your policy.
Okay.
You can keep whatever you'd like.
Yes, Rachel?
I'd kind of like us to put back in, any gift or donation valued at over $1,000 must be approved by the board. Something just about transparency, I guess, and acknowledging that, yeah, sure, you can be anonymous, but I don't know, I like kind of knowing about the big things for transparency's sake.
Is it appropriate to just require that it's presented to the board rather than approved by?
I mean, do we want to take something from, say, Amalgamated Puppy Kickers Limited wants to give us 10 grand
That's
for
sort of
a
what I'm getting at.
Right.
honestly.
That's
puppy
yeah.
kicker training program, maybe not so much.
Right. Not all money is good money, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as a business manager, I would recommend you go to the old policy, because what's written in blue, the board will officially acknowledge the gifts at a board meeting and thank the donor in writing. Without $1,000 limit, you're talking anything anyone donates anytime.
Oof.
That you're gonna be inundated with anything from Rachel donates snacks to her kid's classroom. So without a dollar limit, if the board has to officially acknowledge the gifts at a board meeting, it's gonna be a forever thing. And writing, I don't know who's writing all the thank you notes.
Yes, Ben?
We don't have staff enough for that.
Question for you, Karen. In this case, does a vote to approve a donation by the board constitute whatever is needed for a donor to take the tax deduction on their donation?
I don't know that it does. Basically, we wait for the board to give us the nod, and then we write a letter on letterhead so that they can give that to their tax accountant. If it's a dollar amount, if they donate money, we put the money amount. If they donate anything that's not money, we just acknowledge what they donate without acknowledging what it's worth. We cannot assess the value of it. They have to work with that on their own. So my recommendation would be we go back. Also, I would be concerned if we strike out the unrestricted. For example, when ACE donated money, they specifically donated it for the playground. If they weren't allowed to donate that for the playground, I'm not sure they would have donated it. That's just my input from having been here for 6 years.
Leah?
I would say that unless we define a gift or donation as a value of over $1,000, that this would say, the blue would say that we have to acknowledge all the gifts.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
So we're gonna, you
Right.
guys are
So
gonna
we're
be,
not gonna use the blue and we're gonna keep the $1,000.
right, I
Yeah.
would say that
So
we
we're just
just
gonna leave-
go back to the old
Mark
policy.
this is red.
Or we
Reviewed.
Or just mark it as reviewed, whatever.
Can I ask a
whatever
quick
you wish.
question?
Yes.
Do you wanna increase the amount from 1,000 to like 3,000? Do you wanna, 1,000 is, so I'm used to 5 or 10. So 1,000 is low. I actually would, again, these are your policies, right?
think
And I think
$1,000
Karen's
is a lot of
point is
money.
incredibly valid.
I
What's
think
that?
it's nice to acknowledge $1,000.
I'm fine with
Yeah, we
that, I
don't
just
get
wanted
that
to
a lot.
talk about it, cause
It
like the
doesn't happen
volume.
that often. When
Okay.
it starts happening, like, and we're just
If it's problematic, we're
inundated
inundated by
by
$1,000.
Okay,
That
alright,
would be an amazing problem to have.
Alright,
and we'll
alright,
deal with
alright,
that.
fair
We
enough.
should just
fair
add
enough.
index to inflation, because eventually $1,000 is gonna buy you a loaf of bread, and then we're gonna be.
Yeah.
Go the way of the
Alright.
penny, is it?
Fair enough.
Okay.
But what is the
Just
IRS
marking this as reviewed.
minimum when we have to
Yeah.
issue out a letter? Is it
I don't know.
600 or? I know it's lower than 1,000, I think, so. So even with 1,000,
Yeah,
we're still, at that point, we still have to issue, some kind of taxable, recognition of the gift.
I don't know that there's any limit. We give a letter for any amount.
I think there's a higher limit where the donor has to get the value appraised
Right.
officially versus just claiming it, but that's.
Right, but that's all in
Right.
there. We don't give them any value if it's an item. I think what you're thinking of is income. We have to do anything over $600.
Right, 600, right, yeah,
But
yeah.
that's income,
Right,
that's not a
that's, and
donation.
yes, ma'am.
I would move to mark this as reviewed.
Project reviewed,
Second.
With no changes?
Yep.
With no
with no change. And Randy seconded?
Randy?
Randy seconded, yep.
Thank you.
I love these circles that we go.
Yeah.
Uh,
This is what we should do, though. This is a real review.
Yep.
Thanks, Karen.
Do we have any other comments? All those in favor? Opposed, 7-0. Okay, the last policy is one, I apologize that we didn't get to you folks soon enough. It literally came across my email a couple hours ago. That policy KI.
I thank you for looking at this evening. There have been some questions, so I had some questions about visitors to the schools over the last couple of weeks. I looked at KI and it looked incongruent with what I had seen in the past in other places. And sure enough, when I talked to the MSMA and asked them, it was very incongruent, as you can see with the amount of what would be blue language, which is now light gray in your document. I recommend that you adopt the changes. I think it's really important. You know, there are laws and rules about visitors in schools. You have to be very, very careful about what people do when they come to visit schools. There's a lot of confidentiality, Federal Education Rights to Privacy Act that can get violated. And especially with iPhones being so prevalent, specifically videotaping, recording, or taking pictures of other people's children is absolutely unacceptable, and even your own children or professional staff. And we've had some issues. So I strongly recommend that you adopt this one, just from a professional practice perspective, to protect the staff and for protecting the district from potential litigation.
Now, would that also like include if I went to like a school assembly where like,
That's in there, it talks about
Yes.
public events,
right,
right? So if you're videotaping your kid at a sports game, that gets tricky, just be careful,
right.
right? That's my advice.
Do you have extra copies?
Yeah, I can give you a copy.
There's an extra one right here.
Taking pictures.
Oh, great, Rachel, thank you.
You're not just-
Sorry, I'll paste it in here too, just so that it's a part of
He
the,
gave the example of taking a picture of the king of the sports game. You're never gonna see that.
Exactly, right.
Never gonna see that.
That was my, yeah.
So this was reviewed like 3 months ago, but these are new changes from 3 months ago?
I don't know if, I'm giving you the changes that the MSMA had when I called them. So I started asking attorneys in the MSMA, and this is the sample policy that the MSMA sent me a few days ago.
Right, yeah, no, I wasn't on, maybe Ben can shed some light, because it looks like it was reviewed in March, so I
I'll
wouldn't.
have to go back to the last year's records, but.
Yeah. And I don't wanna make a habit of taking things out of sequence, but when I see something like the bullying policy or this, I have to bring it forward because it's an issue for running the district. And it's also illegal, I'm concerned about you getting sued, to be honest.
Yes, we have.
The only thing that stood out to me was the 24 hours in advance. I just feel like there may be circumstances for parents where they need to be able to meet with people in less than 24 hours. I can totally, I don't know why a community member would need to get into a school with less
There's a
than.
difference between a meeting and a visiting.
Observing a classroom.
Yeah.
So I just wanna make sure that,
No, it says to meet with a staff member.
to meet with a staff member, but if you needed to have an emergency IEP meeting, that's a totally different process. That's not a visitor to the public school.
But
It says to me with a staff member.
But this
Yeah.
is describing visitors and parents, and it says specifically, or to meet with a staff member. So I think that
Okay.
like, the language is a little bit vague when some of it specifies parents, some of it just says,
Where are you?
oh, sorry, top of the second page.
I'll take a picture.
So what would you recommend, Lee?
Keeping in mind there's a shall in there.
Oh, jeez.
Well, as a former teacher, I wouldn't wanna just have somebody like show up
Willy-nilly.
No.
willy-nilly.
But that's, our policy already says that we should arrange such visits in advance, so I'm not assuming that like somebody should just be able to walk in and demand a meeting. I'm just saying that, to say, oh, well, we can't give you a meeting, or we're not gonna give you a meeting because we have 24 hours to do
Yeah.
that. I think it just kind of creates like potential for more heat to a situation.
Could we take out or to meet with a staff member and just leave visitors who wish to observe the classroom or aspects of the educational program?
I was actually thinking about the other way, Rachel, flipping,
Oh.
you're a great idea, could I just throw out another
Yeah.
option, which would be to, and Julie, I would look to you, like, maybe unless the principal, give the principals the authority to waive the 24 hours based on, so it gives them the latitude.
I think it's just really hard, like, because we didn't have this, like, I didn't have this ahead of time, and I don't
Yeah.
think it would be nice for us to be able to look at this
Yeah.
and really look at it thoughtfully without kind of giving you a quick answer that may not be correct.
Yeah.
So that's what I might ask you to table it, or consider that.
Yeah.
Ben?
I was just gonna say, at the end of that paragraph, visitors who wish to observe, it makes a specific reference to the use of instructional time to discuss individual matters, which really, I interpret that as drawing a line between, individual matters such as I need to talk with a teacher about my kid for an urgent reason, and also that this is specifically something that's taking place during the school day versus, I'm meeting after school to talk with a teacher about my kid for a reason. So
It already says that in the language that's crossed out, like that's, none of that's new,
yeah. So I think it's possible to read that paragraph as not impacting that kind of business.
I guess I would feel more comfortable with what's crossed out in that instance.
Did you have anything, Rachel?
I did, sorry. I think it's relevant and important, let's see, where am I? Page 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth paragraph down. The building principal shall have the authority to refuse entry to persons who do not have legitimate school-related business, or to those the principal believes the visit may cause a disruption, compromise the safety or welfare of students or staff, or otherwise interfere with the orderly operations of the school. I feel like that's an important paragraph. I think that I also am kind of trying to read a little bit between the lines and wondering that this was brought to us sort of as a last minute addition, and there may be a relevant point to act on it sooner rather than later. I don't mean that for us to be hasty, but I also want to be aware of how it ended up here tonight, because we just looked at it March 6, 2025. So I'm wondering if there's situations that need us to focus here.
Yeah, you go first, I'm good, yeah, happy to help.
Maybe you could point to specific parts of the policy that you feel leave us really open.
Mhm.
And we could maybe make those changes and then bring it back to the next policy meeting and maybe look at more of the details, if that would be an option.
It is, everything's an option, because it's a community decision, it's a policy. Remember, there are 3 things that a board does: you set a budget, you hire a superintendent, and you set policies. This is important. So I just want you to know that I don't want anyone to feel rushed in the sense that I want everyone to feel like the voices have been heard and they've had a chance to read it. There are some issues, and I would never put something on the agenda. I'm sending you a clear message by asking you to look at it tonight.
Right,
So
and
you're reading it right,
Yep.
okay? That's all I can say about that. What I would say is that the issues aren't with the problem that the section that Leah wanted to adjust would be fine either way, right? It really, the 24-hour notice provision really doesn't matter to me, because if the principal says, no, we can't do that tomorrow, they're saying, no, we can't do that tomorrow. They have the authority to approve visitors and manage the buildings, and I'm fine with that, right? So if it makes people more comfortable, I don't have any pushback or concerns about saying that we keep the previous language under that paragraph that has the 24-hour notice. That would certainly be totally fine. right? Remember, I'm only showing you what, if you notice, the difference is stark between the MSMA version and what we have on our books. And I wanted you to see the starkness. That doesn't mean that we can't, and sometimes you'll say to me as a committee, Tom, we have questions about this and we'll table it and I'll call up the lawyer and go even one level deeper than MSMA, right? So there's times when, and there'll be times when we gridlock and I have to get more information and come back to you. And sometimes the group may forward something to the board for discussion because we just couldn't get it resolved here. That's okay. This is a very important part of our process, and it's so important. I love the way this went with the memorial policy tonight. We agreed that we just weren't ready to make a decision. That's okay, right? But for this, what I would say is that if you feel comfortable with it other than that 24-hour piece, it'd be great if we could move forward.
Yes. Reading through this, the only substantial change I see from what we had to what is here is the visitors prohibited from videotaping. That's the only substantial difference. I mean, the language crossed out and the language added is almost identical, aside from wills and shalls. And,
I would be more than happy to add that, because I don't know why people would wanna come into schools and take videos.
Or is it legal?
Right.
Right, totally.
Another change that maybe not as substantial, but we've added specifically language about compromising the safety and welfare versus just no legitimate business or who might be disruptive. Second page.
oh, yeah,
Yep.
right.
I would be completely open to a proposal to add the part about videotaping and the part that Ben just said and move that to the board.
Anyone want to make the motion?
I'm happy to if somebody just gives me the words, and I've motioned more tonight than I ever have in my school board
I'll tell you,
career.
you're doing good. You've got the language.
So there's, yes, okay, so we need to add the videotaping part,
Correct.
and are we adding the building principal shall have the authority that whatever on the second page? No?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
correct. So those are the only two changes that you'd like to add, are those two paragraphs.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just adding the word "are" between visitors and prohibited.
Yes,
Yes.
I've got that.
Visitors are
Thank you.
prohibited from videotaping.
Those two changes and all grammatical.
Well, I'm just trying to
Updates.
compare, I'm trying
I
to
don't need
compare
a
what's
minute.
crossed out
Take
and
your
what
time,
is now.
take your time, guys, we've got time.
Yeah.
I mean, I won't get a bathroom break, but I'm okay,
TMI.
sorry.
Do we need to be clearer?
No,
Okay.
I think Leah's motion is pretty self-explanatory. It was just moving it to first read with those two paragraphs added or amended.
The first three paragraphs that are suggested are different than what the previous ones were, so, you know, the ones that are struck out. So I think we need to just, I don't know, just give us a couple minutes to look at it.
Yeah.
Take your time.
I think that, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth paragraph, the struck out language is the term visitor. The last sentence of that proposed language seems important.
Yes,
It's to the school, right?
yes, yes.
It's a fairly generous enlargement of the paragraph that it's replacing.
I would prefer to go with the new language than the first paragraph and the first sentence of the second paragraph. I think those, I think that's more, I think it's better,
More robust.
yeah,
Or better.
it's more better.
Could I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
You could adopt the revisions and then just take out the 24 hours.
Sure,
Because
yeah.
if you do that,
Yeah,
what it
let's do that.
says
Yeah.
is, meet with the staff member or shall be required to schedule their visit in advance.
For sure.
In advance, yeah.
What I just don't want is people showing up at the door.
Yeah.
The 24 hours, 2 hours, it's just in advance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we could take out the 24 hours and just say in
Yes.
advance.
Yes,
And then if we want to bring this back up in 6 months, once we've tried it,
Yep.
and I have conversations with the admins to slow it down, we can bring it back in May.
Well, and it's coming up for first read at the, there's
Yeah,
that other
there's more
opportunity.
time.
I think we
Yeah.
need to make a choice here and get it up.
I would like to make a motion to adopt the proposed changes with the exception of the paragraph.
Not paragraphs,
But the 24-hour,
just the
No.
phrase 24
No,
hours.
we're just gonna keep all visitors who wish to visit classrooms, observe aspects of the instructional program, or meet with staff members are expected to arrange such visits in advance.
Fine.
Teachers and other, like, we're just gonna keep that language.
Yep.
Okay,
And then also, I'd like to request that we change all of the shalls
Yep.
to wills.
Yes, I'll do that.
So
Yep.
keep our language in line with other policies.
Yep.
Okay.
Second.
and that's for first read, correct?
For first read.
Okay, very good. And Rachel seconds.
There you go.
Any other comments? No?
You get the minutes, Karen, I'm doing the policy.
All those in favor? 7-0. Okay. Does the committee have any other items that they want to add or talk about?
Reaching my pocket.
They're starting to
Keeping in
regret
mind that
giving-
we got 9 minutes and Tom has to take a potty break.
Someone may make a motion to have someone else handle policy besides Tom.
So the time is 6:51 and we are adjourned.
I gotta say,